Start with one everybody wants to know about that you coach in terms of Letty. But great year last year, but I know he wants to do better. So what can he do better?
He can do a better job. We can do a better job of putting him in position to catch the ball outside of the backfield. And if you're out there today, we lined him up outside the receiver and let him run some routes down the field. He got a great skill set, got great ball skills, and so it'd be good for us to show his skill set and his ability to be able to catch the ball outside of catching the ball at running back. He can also do a better job in just his overall blocking, whether that's pass protection and recognition. He does a great job in terms of blocking from a physicality and picking it up standpoint, but just recognition, which he's done a phenomenal job thus far in camp doing that. And then also in lead blocking, and he did a great job of doing that today as well. So those are three areas that that's challenging him. He knows the offense really well, but those are three things that's keeping him engaged and allowing him to see where he can take his game to the next level, being able to execute those particular things at an elite level.
What does it mean to have him on the Reese's Senior Bowl watch list?
That's huge. That's the biggest bowl for the seniors. It's a big honor for those guys. It shows him, he's one of the, top players in the national spotlight. It's something they all work for, and so that's a big honor for him. And he don't pay attention to it. He figured in his mind, if I just continue to go out there and play at an elite level and do everything I was supposed to do with the ball in my hand and away from the football, which is really what he's working on right now, all that'll take care of itself. But that's a huge honor for him.
You've got some backups that you're evaluating. What's going to determine who gets that backup job?
They're going to determine that themselves. That's the easy part for me. We always talk about this. Your talent equals your production. They're all talented, but they got to be able to produce. And then production in our room is what do you do beyond what's blocked? Great offensive line up front do a great job of blocking everybody in the box, and those guys, those safeties, those free hitters that show up, those are the guys that we got to be able to make plays, whether that's a true avoidability, make miss, or that's break tackles, yards after contact. So their ability to be able to do that on a consistent level of, help me, determine that, them help themselves determine that. And as of right now, Tony Mathis, that's something that he had to work on going to spring ball. He did a great job of, and one of his biggest emphasis this fall camp was to continue that surge from the spring into the fall camp. Thus far, he's done that. And the freshman, Justin Johnson, has done a phenomenal job showing that ability as well. So
I'm guessing reliability is going to be a big thing for you.
No question. And that's what it is with Letty, because that's where we got to get, just as a position group, obviously Letty's an elite player, but as a position group, when he's not in the football game, we can't have a big drop-off. We got to have production behind him. And so, Tony Mathis has done a phenomenal job in the spring. He's doing a great job right now. And so Justin Johnson's doing well too. So we got to be able to have somebody that's reliable that can, not drop off when he's out of the game.
Coach, both Letty and Coach Brown have kind of attributed the relationship that you and Letty have had over the past couple of years to his success last season. Just how have you and he grown together as a unit over the past couple of years, and how do you think that can transition into an improvement in his game as well?
Trust is the biggest thing. I've been knowing him since high school, recruiting him, and even when I first got here, just quiet, didn't talk as much, but just the trust, the relationship I have with him, not only him but also with his family. He's a family person, so my relationship with him and the relationship I have with his family allowed him to let me even more so than he does other people. And he's an extremely competitive kid. He's hard on himself, and sometimes he gets too hard on himself where it affects his game, and he doesn't let people in when he gets to that point other than myself. So I know how to talk to him and deal with him and get him to the point where he understands that and he can move on to the next play and have that kind of mentality where we can, maybe have a negative play or a bad play or a play not so characteristic of him, but put it behind us and play the next play and move forward. And I think he's seen, where in the past that's hurt him. So now in fall camp, he's had some situations where old Letty might have responded a little differently. Whereas now in fall camp, he's showing the maturity and the ability to move forward and have success moving forward.
Did you see something click with him this time last year? Because obviously the year before was not good for anybody really in the running game. Was there a point where you were like, okay, he kind of figured it out and then he put it together last year?
It was April 29th, I believe. April 29th. He sent me a text. He said, I'm tired of being overlooked. I'm a ball coach. I want to learn everything offensively. And from that point, he just took his whole mental preparation and learned the entire playbook in and out from run game, pass game, because, he caught the ball really well, but we didn't do a lot outside the backfield. And he learned all the concepts. And it was really from that point where he just took off from a maturity standpoint and from a leadership standpoint, where he just kind of just just took off. You know, I remember some days where, you know, because we didn't have a good year in 2019, obviously, so we still had a lot to prove and had a lot to do in terms of being productive. So it was a lot of unknown even coming in fall camp at this time last year. And I remember we had split practices, and so guys would come in, he'd be the afternoon practice, and it'd be a good run game in the morning time. And so we said, okay, we'll see what's going to happen in the next group, and then let it come out. And wow, he do some things that I can't coach, and which what makes him the player he is. So it clicked for him April 29th, 2020, to be honest with you. And then from that point, he just took off and was able to sustain it, which was huge. So
You guys got to be conscious of not overusing him.
absolutely. Right now, we're really not overusing anyone right now. We're splitting the practice reps, but, you know, we break it down, you know, in like 4-play sets. So, you know, he's not getting overworked right now. You know, he getting his reps in, but nobody's really getting overworked right now.
Game days, I mean, you need him in November, December,
Oh,
so you
no
can't
doubt.
overuse him in September. I
Man,
guess.
no doubt. I know, you know, that's a game. It's a feel. It's a feel throughout the game, to be honest with you. Obviously, you know, it's hard. It's a feel throughout the game. Obviously, getting to the point where he's running really well and he's productive, and you know, you gotta, you know, a decent lead at you know, not as much time left in the game. You like to get him out, but if it's a close game and, you know, whatnot, it's kind of a feel, you know.
Can maybe some of those swing passes maybe replace some of those touches between the tackles and maybe get him his 25 but a different way?
Right, that's what we've worked on now. Finally, and that was one of my biggest projects this offseason was to find like non-traditional touches, ways we can get him the ball without physically handing it to him and let him take it and pound it. And so we've done a great job of that in the springtime, repping it, and then we're doing it right now. So we got a couple non-traditional ways we term it to get him the ball without handing it to him, so he can get those touches without, you know, taking the pounding.
Well, I'm guessing that could be a selling point for you too, because you can promote versatility for guys to the next
Right,
level.
absolutely.
Or say, hey, listen, this guy in the SEC is getting 25 carries or 35 carries. We're getting you the same number, but in a different way. Take the load off your body.
Yeah, we use that. Now we do use that because that is important. That's what we do. You know, last 2 years, you know, 2 years ago we were second on the team in receptions at the running back spot. Last year, led it was tied for second on the team in receptions at the running back spot. So, you know, we're productive in the pass game, but what we're doing with him now, being able to line him up out wide, that'll show a different level of skill set for him. You know, being able to catch the ball outside of just running back routes. You know, being able to line up as a receiver and not look like a running back, but look like a receiver and be able to read coverage and find a way to get open based on what he sees downfield.
So maybe a stat that would be important to you is yards from scrimmage as opposed to just rushing yards.
Right. Absolutely.
He was kind of talking about how proud he is of stepping up as a leader over the last couple of years. How has that how has the rest of the room responded to his leadership?
It's been awesome. Yeah. Some days I had to let him say, "Hey man, Dad might have to be a coach today," you know. But he does a phenomenal job. Those guys respond to it. It makes him a better player too because, you know, he holds those guys accountable. But you know, as much as he holds them accountable, he got to walk that walk as well because they're looking up to him to do the things that he's encouraging them and encouraging those guys to do. And he does. And so it's helped my room tremendously because obviously you got young guys like a Justin Johnson who saw him have all the success from afar. Now he's actually in this room with this guy, and he gets a chance to see him outside of what he does on the football field, like how he approaches position meeting, how he approaches workouts, his approach to how he shows up, you know, to team meetings and all that kind of deal. And that's what we talked to him about this fall camp. Like being a leader, you know, obviously you're going to lead by example, but it's also your approach. You know, these young guys look up to you. Tony Mathis, those guys look up to you, how you approach meetings, how you approach team meetings, how you approach, you know, the nutrition table, all the things that we expect those guys to do. They want to see the upperclassmen with the success that you have walk the same walk. So it's helped my room tremendously. I mean, it's the best form of coaching I can get as a player of his caliber, lead the way he's leading without me telling those guys. They see it for themselves because the room has gotten a whole lot better overall since I've been here. And, you know, you want to leave a legacy. So when he leaves, we want that to continue on. So that's been huge for my room.
How is a very Sparrow coming along?
He's been coming along well. He got to continue to come on now. Been here in the program for a year. You know, we'd like to see him be a little more further than where he is right now. He has the ability and the capability to do it. He just got to do it. So he got to, you know, but we'd like to see him a little further along right now where he is. But, you know, they practice 7, I believe, so he got time. He has the ability to do it. He just got to do it.
And Justin Johnson, what are your thoughts of him for Friday?
It's been really pleasing to see that kid. First of all, pass protection is the toughest That's the toughest responsibility for a young running back. First of all, the recognition of it, and then secondly, the actual physical part of picking it up when you're picking up bigger guys that you've never picked up in your life. And he's done a phenomenal job of doing both of them. Phenomenal balance, great vision, and these are all the things that, and he's done this. First of all, he's probably, since I've been with Coach Brown, he's probably been and from a freshman standpoint, he's probably had the best summer of any freshman that we've been around overall in every regard, weight room and outside of it, academic. And to see him carry that to his fall camp, it's been really pleasing. Great balance, great vision. He has playmaking ability. He's a tough kid, and he's picked up on the offense really well. So
you mentioned your close relationship with Letty and his family. That doesn't just happen. Is that something you kind of value in your coaching style? Is developing that deep personal relationship?
That is my coaching style. Like just the relationships I have with those guys that go beyond the game of football. It ain't just recruit talk for me. I do a phenomenal job of building that kind of relationship throughout the recruiting process, and then I sustain it. They would say it takes a village to raise these guys. It's going to take a village to even develop these guys to get them to where they want to get to. And that village involves just not me, academics, all the personnel we have here, and even the parents even now. Might be days where, they call me and they might say, this is such and such is going on. I need you to grab and put your arm around it. I might have some days where I didn't call them and say, you need to do the same for me. So that's my coaching style. I'm a big energy, high energy guy. I ain't no big rah guy like you do this, you do that. The relationship I have with those guys, I get them point across where they go out there and execute at a high level without me just, So the relationship is huge. That's my style. That's my approach.
So how do situations like, for example, Neil Brown inviting the entire team over to his house for a cookout help with that process?
Well, that's huge, because most times, you do that in recruiting, and people just think, that's just recruiting tactic, And then when you get here, and then you do it again, you're like, oh, wow, so this isn't just a thing they do just to get us here. Like, this is really who they are. We talk about family, and, we got family wall down when they come outside of the locker room. But that's huge for us, is to get those guys to know one another. Like, even after practice, we get certain guys to stand up, and we say, hey, where is this guy from? What high school this guy to? Because we're trying to encourage that growth, that camaraderie. Because if you know those guys outside of the game, you'll fight that much harder for that guy next to you on the football field when it matters most. Same with us. If we know those guys and their families as well as we do off the football field, those guys will give a whole lot more to us and know that we're not getting hard, like we're not like coaching them personally, but we're coaching the action, and they'll respond to it better because they realize that, man, Coach taking the time to get to know me and my family, so he cares about me beyond the game. And that's important. It's not a fad. It's not a fake. It's not a fraud. It's something that's near, it's genuine to us. Sometimes it hurts us just as much to get on those guys because we know personally, we know they can do it. They're just not doing it. So it's important.
Moving forward, post-collegiate football, what do something like bringing the Players Association in via Zoom to talk to the team help with the transition post-college?
Rephrase that one time.
So bringing the Players Association in, how does that help the transition for a football player out of college?
I think it helps big time. I mean, that's where they want to go, So, just get those guys insight to what life is outside of that, outside of collegiate football, and what it's like on the next level, and to get it from those guys that's actually where they want to go, and and being where they want to be. I think that's huge.
Neil has said that if you had to play today, Tony Mathis would be number 2.
Yes.
Of course, you got time before season, but tell us about Tony. What's he doing well? Where is he?
He's doing everything well right now, to be honest with you. It's funny. We just on the sideline. I said, man, you finally trusting your ability. You finally trusting your ability and the things that you do. And I said, it's taking you 3 years. He said, nah, Coach, 2 years. It's my 3rd year. I'm ready right now. We just had that talk. He's always had the ability. Great high school player. Had a lot of success in high school. Just being able to just trust what he does and understand that, understand defensive play. He's running the ball at an elite level. He's a powerful kid. Very powerful, strong program. He comes from a great high school that, does a phenomenal job in the weight room. Heck, to this day, Nick Chubb goes back to that same high school, same strength coach that does his off-season program. So he has tremendous strength. He had to find a way to take his strength from the weight room to the football field and break tackles. And so we worked on that this off-season. And this springtime, he did it. And he's doing it right now. And so that's giving him the confidence to know that, man, I'm strong enough to break tackles and get yards out of the contact. So he's running real confidently right now. He's seeing it really well. He's doing a phenomenal job picking the blitz. His ball skills wasn't as natural before the spring ball, And we kind of equated his ball skills to a basketball player's free throws. Get better at free throws, you got to practice them. Get better at catching footballs, you got to practice them. He did that, and he's catching the ball really well too. So because he's able to run the ball and break tackles, get yards after contact, he's able to catch the ball, fluidly. Is increased his confidence. He's playing at a high level right now, and he's been consistent every day.
So there's no changes when he goes in the game. You can run everything you run with Letty.
There's been no changes at all. Whereas before it's like, can he? There's no changes at all. Letty Brown comes out of the game. Tony Mathis goes in. He's able to do it all, and that's been a great thing, particularly in the pass pro as well. So he's been consistent. He's been great.
Coach, I've always been interested to see the new drills that come out in the spring and the fall. I know sometimes you tweak them a little bit just to keep player interest.
Right.
But how do you match up and find the drills that you want to do to emphasize, hey, the coaching points you're wanting to make for your players?
That's my challenge right there. I actually get a kick out of that. Outside of like coming up with plays and stuff to call and run, coming up with different drills. Like I said, to Pete the answer, we got our base drills and they get great at it. And I'm big on, we're big on not doing a bunch of drills being just, good at some. We like to do a small amount of drills and get great at them so their body is able to go out there and replicate that without even thinking about it before their mind even catches up to it. And then we actually did a new drill today because 2 days ago, it was Justin Johnson had the line was comboing to a linebacker and it was a hole here and he wanted to get to that hole, but he got to bring that linebacker to that combo to get to that hole. And he didn't do that. And that linebacker met him in the hole, and he found out what it was to get hit by a collegiate linebacker. And so I came up with a drill just today for that particular drill, and Letty Brown went out there and did the drill and hit the hole and hit a big one. So really, we try to come up with drills that simulate the actions that they actually go through as a runner and as a blocker. And then when they do it, we got to point it out in meetings so they know why it works and why they're doing it. And because when they see it, it makes them want to do the drill even more and do it better. So.
Coach, like you said, Tony's been in the program for quite a while, and now he's finally getting a big shot at making a big impact on the team.
Yeah.
But for those, now it's year 3. Those 2 years, how do you keep a guy like that interested when now it's more easier than ever to just say, screw this, I'm going to go somewhere where they're going to feed me the ball.
Right. Well, it's a bigger credit to him than it is to me. It shows like his loyalty to the program and who he is as a competitor because from his standpoint, it's huge for him. For me, just my coach style, just being real with him. No sugarcoating, just tell him how it is and really shows his maturity to be able to take, not necessarily the criticism, but the kind of critiquing. In his case beforehand, it wasn't a good critiquing because it was part of his game, what it takes to be an elite and a successful running back. And remember, we had that talk in January, and I figured after that talk, Tony Mathis, he wouldn't be around. He'd say, well, I'm going to leave, right? And he sent me a text message later on that day, said, Coach, I want to work on all those weaknesses. And he said, I can see that, and I want to work on all those weaknesses to help my game. And so when he said that, like his level of maturity went to a whole nother level, and he did the exact thing. But from my standpoint, just being honest, just being transparent with the feedback, being real, and then showing it to him, not just telling it to him, but also showing it to him on film so he can see it. Oftentimes hard for him to, obviously grasp or, listen to, when you see it, you got your peers around doing it. But he took the one-on-one talk and he worked on all his weaknesses, and that was something that we continued to do after spring ball throughout summertime up until now. And now he's doing it, and I pointed out, always make a big deal out of it. All the little things that, we talked about before that was a weakness for him, that was hindering his game, his ability to make plays beyond what was blocked, make a big deal out of it now because he's doing it now consistently now.